Welcome back, Husky fans. Another week of the Huskies Rundown. This week brought to you by Coates RV in Cloquet. Right off the I-35, Coates RV is making camping fun again. And I'm Matt Lively, joined alongside my regular broadcast partner, Henry DeMore. Henry, right now the Huskies 14-13 overall. The past week, they started off in Mankato, and then they came home and got a huge sweep of the Thunder Bay Border Cats, securing the Lake Superior Cup. And, man, have they had success against the Border Cats or what?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've been 5-1 this year against the Border Cats. In fact, when the Huskies were in that middle of that 5-game losing streak earlier in the year, it was a win against Thunder Bay, a big comeback win against the team from Canada that snapped it, and the offense has been cooking, the pitching has been cooking. We've had Thunder Bay's number all year.
Yeah, the Huskies really have, and it was two phenomenal games that we got to watch. Then Waterloo came into town, and those first-place Bucks, man, they are tough to beat, and we saw that yet again, defeating us twice, and now 5-1 against the Huskies this year. Waterloo's going to be a team to watch out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they went on a 9-game win streak earlier this year, and they've held on to first pretty much the entirety of the second half of the season. Them and St. Cloud have kind of been dealing blows back and forth, but Waterloo, they pitch well, they hit like no team I've really ever seen. I mean, we'd be remiss to not mention the 3-home-run performance by Joe Genord that, you want to talk about a way to punctuate a 12-7 win? Yeah.
And that game, overall, what a game. 3 home runs by one player in the Northwoods League, which is practically unheard of. We had Kyle Hubbock, the first baseman for the Huskies, hit a home run off the U in Duluth on the scoreboard out in right field. And then to top it off, a triple play turn by the Huskies. It was a game for the ages here at Wade Stadium, but the Huskies did drop both games to Waterloo in that series. And then finally yesterday, Sunday, heading to Eau Claire, making up a game that they had postponed because of rain. And then a new game against Eau Claire, split 1-1, getting walked off in the second game of that doubleheader. But overall, they split the series through the week, and I would say that there were certainly some good takeaways. Number one, there's a new lineup in place here for the Huskies, and it features 3 new UCLA players, and we've been impressed with them. Chase Strump, Jack Stronach, and then most impressively, Jake Prees, a returner, this year hitting .409 with 3 doubles and 3 RBIs. What's been impressive to you out of the new UCLA additions?
Well, I think it's just that they've come in and bought into the system, and there's been no real transition period. I mean, you go from college hitting, metal bats and BB core bats, you come here, start swinging a different type of bat in a different type of ballpark, and they've come in and made immediate impacts, whether it's Strumpf, Stronach, or Prees. They've all been good contact hitters. They've had unselfish at-bats, and they've had pop in their bat, and the power in this Huskies lineup was something that early in the year wasn't missing. It had to be made up for with small ball, but now with these 3 guys from UCLA and Luke Roscom really starting to get good wood on the ball, his batting average starting to creep up to about 300, the power has definitely started to show up for the Huskies.
And another new player that we saw featured in the road trip that you went on last week, Cameron Williams out of Dallas Baptist. He can play all throughout the infield. A good bat, hitting .282 with 3 extra base hits and 8 RBIs already. I know Les Pajari, the senior director of baseball operations for the Huskies, is high on this guy. He's certainly been talented, and he's been fun to watch.
Yeah, he's been absolutely awesome. He's got some of the smoothest hands I've seen in the infield, so he can take his time because he's got an absolute cannon, making some really tough throws, some really acrobatic plays in the middle infield, but also a good contact switch-hitting bat, something that the Huskies do have in a couple of guys already. But Williams, he brings another level of experience, and more depth in this Huskies lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to look ahead now, the Huskies will take on Eau Claire tonight, which is Monday night, and then they have 2 against the La Crosse Loggers, just a 10-17 team right now, really struggling in the North Division. 2 games I would call must-wins for the Huskies.
Absolutely. It's when teams like that come to town that you've got to do what you did against Thunder Bay. All the cylinders have to be clicking, and we've seen that the Huskies can perform at that level. They can have games where they score 12 runs, shut out pitching, and an error on defense, something that has been tough for the Huskies all year, the defense. But we've seen that the Huskies individually have been able to put all the pieces together in series like the one against Thunder Bay, and La Crosse coming to town with a pretty similar record and style of play. Those, absolutely, got to take 2 out of 2 from there.
I would agree with you, and having those 2 home games, then they'll hit the road, travel to Bismarck for a 2-game series, and then finally we get to see the St. Cloud Rocks. They were atop the North Division for so long. Now the Waterloo Bucks hold that place, but man, the Rocks have been one heck of a team, and it's going to be fun to see the Huskies finally get a crack at them.
Yeah, they do it they've got the best pitching staff in the Northwoods League and the most solid defense in the Northwoods League. Going to be a really, really telling series to see when the Bucks play the Rocks.
I would agree, and Overall, it's been a good week for the Huskies. They still come in tonight over 500. I think it's time to look at our weekly winners. Number 1, Garrett Brown took a no-hitter into the 7th inning, the most dominant pitching performance that we've seen out of a Huskies pitcher yet. He walked just 2 batters, allowed 1 run, or no, 1 run but unearned, and just 1 hit overall. I mean, to me, he's certainly my weekly winner. Who do you have?
Absolutely. I would say if anyone else, I think it is the new UCLA guys, if you can kind of clump them into one, like I said, making a big impact offensively, all of them hitting above 250, popping the bat. But something I've really been encouraged to see is Luke Roscom starting to hit for average. We know he can swing the bat hard. We know he can put balls over the fence. But his batting average starting to creep, like I said earlier, at about the 300 level. But he's also usually a dead pull hitter, that big power lefty bat. He's starting to spray balls to all parts of the ballpark. And Luke Roscom being more consistent is going to be very big for the Huskies offense.
And I think we can even add Matt Frazier, the new center fielder for the Huskies, and they're hitting over 400. Well, that's about all we have. Before we go, we want to remind you about a special event happening here at Wade Stadium, A Day at the Wade, happening on July 19th. For $10, you get a concert, games and activities, and then, of course, a great meal, and it's all going towards Western Duluth youth sports organizations. You can buy those tickets at Harley's Hut. But I think that's it for you and I, Henry. We hope that you come out to Wade Stadium this week, and the Huskies can continue over 500.